All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome to another installment of Crisis Currency Roundtable. I am excited to bring our guest in this afternoon. So, wherever you are, hope you can tune in. If you want to watch any of our podcasts, please go to the L3 Agency /, podcast. My name is Larvetta Lofton, and I am the host of Crisis Currency Roundtable. So we started this last year, actually at the beginning of the pandemic. So we are in season 2. This is episode 6. And so we've just been having a good time. So we've talked about storytelling. We've talked about adjusting to this new normal. We've talked about Black content. We've talked about Black music. We've talked about healthcare. So we've talked about a number of things throughout this. We've brought in thought leaders from both in Chicago to all across, actually across the country, to be able to come to the table and really talk about real content. We believe that in a crisis, there is currency. And so for our company, we believe relationships are our currency. And so bringing people who will share their knowledge to help us to be better. And so one is we've talked to Black business owners who are pivoting during this pandemic and are doing amazing. And so we're going to get a chance to talk to a fitness owner. She's also a fitness instructor, to talk about how her business is pivoting during this pandemic. And then we have a doctor here that's going to talk about how the sports industry has shifted. He is the doctor for the Chicago Sky, which is our women's basketball league. So really excited to hear from him and really understand what is shifting in this new normal that we're in. So again, please, please, please subscribe on YouTube at Larvetta Lofton, and just come to the roundtable. We're going to talk. I typically start off with what brings me joy. And so today, I'm going to say right now, what brings me joy at this moment is friendships. It's been tough, but I have had an opportunity to really connect with my friends and check on them and be with them. And so that is really bringing me joy because I'm not able to touch and hug. So I am finding that there's just joy in having these authentic friendships, and I'm very grateful to have them, and it gives me joy. So now we're going to move on to introducing our guest for this afternoon. So I have the pleasure of bringing in Dr. Christopher Hicks. He is here. Hi, Dr. Christopher. How you doing?
Hey, how are you, Larvette? I'm doing great. No complaints on this end.
I know. And so I just want for the people that are tuning in, and you're taking a moment to be with us for an hour. So what does that mean? Did you tell all your patients? Did you block yourself out so the patients, so everybody's cool? Because, that's what doctors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody I had to block the schedule. My patients wouldn't have allowed it. So yes. It's Friday, though, so I'm happy.
It is Friday. We think that doctors never take the time off. So it's good that you are here with us for this timely subject. So I'm going to bring up Ashanti here. Ashanti, I am bringing you into the studio. Hey, Ashanti.
Hi, Larvetta. How are you?
I am great. So please meet Dr. Christopher Hicks.
How are you, Ashanti? Good to meet you.
Good. Doing really good.
Awesome. I want to take this opportunity. I didn't say what you guys do, but certainly I want you all to introduce yourself to everyone. We talk about this as a roundtable, so it's a discussion. We get to really have fun, and so this is what we do. We make it serious because we give great information, but we want to have a little bit of fun. So I'm going to just slide to Ashanti. If you can just tell us, a brief introduction of who you are. Obviously, you are the founder and CEO of 360 Mind, Body, and Soul in Chicago. For those people that are in Chicago, you can tell them, where you are. But we talk to people all across the country, right? So, and you have virtual now, so it doesn't matter, right? So people can log on for wherever they are, even in South Africa. So make sure and introduce yourself.
Yeah. So, hey, everybody. My name is Ashanti Johnson. I am the owner of a fitness gym called 360 Mind, Body, and Soul. 360 Mind, Body, and Soul. That is a fitness gym, a group fitness gym dedicated to not only physical fitness, but mental fitness. So, in addition to cycle, bar, hit training, cardio dance, cardio, kickboxing, all of that, personal training, which we also do virtually, we have mental fitness workshops that are dealing with things like any sort of ailments that you might have in your joints. But in addition to that, like the sabotage that occurs while you're trying to get to a goal. Anytime we're trying to change something, it's obviously very difficult. That's why it's called change, because we really don't want to do it. So you need to sort of get your mind involved, and you need to get it on board in order to do it succinctly, as efficiently as possible, in the shortest time as possible. Otherwise, you end up with a yo-yo diet, and nobody likes those. So we preach lifestyle.
Yeah. And I just want to say, for the record, I've taken Ashanti's class. Just for the record, she's no beast. Okay, so you got to keep up with her. I have taken classes there, but when you get Ashanti, you get the real deal. So, and she's not going to tell you, if you say you're tired, you can't do that in her class.
We like the door. But you got to get your mind right. You're gonna get a whole word and get your butt whooped.
You are absolutely. You're gonna leave there like you can really rule the world, for real. You like, I can really change the world. I mean, our vice president is a woman, so you're gonna be like, "Yep, I'm the president," right?
There you go.
That's the goal. Yes, exactly. That should be a tag.
So that is what Ashanti will do. So I know, Dr. Christopher, it is Women's History Month. We talking about women. I know you're like, how did I get here?
That's all right. Very important topic. I got nothing against it, obviously.
And so so please share with the audience on who you are. And obviously you serve in several capacities, and you serve with helping women as the doctor on staff for Chicago Sky. So please introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks again for having me. And I'm excited to just have a discussion with you and Ashanti. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Really what I do, so I'm a sports medicine trained physician. My background is in physical medicine and rehabilitation, for those who are aware of the medical field. But, my primary focus is sports medicine. I have a little bit of a background, and I don't trump anybody on here, but I got a little bit of a background in personal training. And I also have a little bit of background in athletic training and physical therapy just from college. But so I work at the University of Chicago with an orthopedic department, but I do everything and take care of everything except when they need surgery. So when surgery comes, I sort of send people on. But again, as a group, we help out with the Chicago Sky. So I'm blessed to be able to take care of those women. I would tell you that they are the most humble, nicest, people I've ever met as far as professional athletes. So it's such a joy to be able to help take care of them and provide them with care to help them continue to play.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And we're going to dive, because I want to talk to you about, where do you see like the sports industry, given what we've had in adjusting to this new normal. I know we're slowly opening back, but what does that really look like for, the world in that capacity, because it's looking different, right? But what does that different look like?
It's interesting, Lavetta. I very much believe that sports is a microcosm of society in the world. And it was interesting when this all first went down. I will speak for myself that I didn't, I took it seriously, but I don't think I understood the gravity of it until the NBA shut down. And once you saw, this billion-dollar company shut down for the safety of their own athletes, you sort of got taken back and like, okay, well, we're dealing with something real, and I don't know when this stuff's going to end. So it's interesting to see sports sort of lead the way in that. Once that chip fell, everything sort of shut down soon thereafter. And you sort of see it now as well. And obviously, I'm not saying sports leads the world, but you see, now we're starting to have fans, 25% capacity. You're starting to see some fans in the stands. And you're starting to see some development and sort of progress as the vaccines come out, as people are starting to get a little bit more, I suppose, used to the masking and the social distancing, and right, and we're starting to continue life as life was, a little different, obviously, right? Because otherwise we'd be doing this in person. But we're sort of getting back to somewhat of a norm. I think there's light at the end of the tunnel with the vaccines rolling out and being able to get vaccinated. At the same time, we've got a long way to go because we only know as much as we know, and the virus still to us is very new. Research, and I'm sort of veering a little bit,
but
it was interesting to see the public sort of understand what doctors do on a daily basis when it comes to research, right? So when research started coming out, us as physicians, we see it all the time. When one study comes out, we sort of don't really get that excited about it because you need multiple studies done multiple times in order to sort of confirm what we have, what's being done. When it was coming out, when this virus hit, a lot of studies were being made public very quickly. And the data can be interpreted in a lot of different ways. And so that's why you saw a lot of confusion early on. Part of it was because it was new, but the other part is that if I handed either one of us a study on anything, you can sort of interpret the data in a couple of different ways. And so that's why a lot of my patients would come in and say, oh, they didn't tell us to wear masks at first. Now they're telling us to wear masks. Oh, we weren't supposed, And a lot of that confusion was because the information was made public so quickly, and rightfully so. I'm not saying we shouldn't, but the way to interpret that data, us as physicians, a lot of us weren't really shocked to see that some studies show one thing and others didn't. But it was fairly common. So it was just interesting to see how that sort of progressed. And we'll continue to see that as the vaccines start to roll out. We get, I think there was a study that was recently done in women, in pregnant women who were pregnant, and also women who were breastfeeding. And we're starting to find data that we are starting to be able to transfer antibodies from mother to child, which is, I can't tell you how much amazing news that is.
Wow.
So yeah, we're seeing progress, and obviously kudos to everybody who's been able to help fight the good fight.
Well, it's interesting because I know and we'll jump a little bit. What I do see, and I even mentioned, is that we finally got to see doctors talk. Like for so long, we saw them as we come in, we hurt. But I know Dr. Fauci became this like superstar, right? But I also saw so many doctors, as in Chicago, right? I saw doctors really coming to the table that were, Black doctors. Like it was like, oh.
Yeah,
I know the numbers are very small, in relation, but you finally got a chance to see that. So the pandemic got a chance for you to see and hear from, Black doctors who were very aware of what's going on. Did you see that as well?
Absolutely. I think you make a great point. And I'll take it even further, Larvetta, where, the pandemic sort of brought us out. But I think what really came to what made us all come to the forefront and say, okay, we got to speak up is the disparities, right? So pandemic hit, then we started noticing, wait a second, a lot of us Black and brown people are becoming sicker, faster, more severe, more hospitalizations. And when we saw that, this is not news to probably anybody on this call, right? This is news to the public, where we've been trying to say this and trying to push this information, where there's drastic health disparities. Up and down the line, you name it, exists. Asthma in young Black people. The rate at which children die after birth as it pertains to Black females when they're taking care of anybody other than a Black physician. And I'm talking, this is outside of the pandemic, where we knew these things existed. So when the pandemic hit, it was like, oh, yep, this makes sense to us. So we need to start speaking up about it because, as you know, over the past year, I will say it's good to be Black, right? I think it was the time. To be quite honest, it was the time to speak up, and if you ever had anything to say, you better say it now before the time passes. And so I think that was part of why you saw a lot of Black doctors stepping up and speaking out, because we wanted the public to know that, look, this has been going on for years. We just finally have something to, it's obvious to the rest of the public because the pandemic was public. And so, it was nice. It was, because honestly, I don't see a lot of this often. So when I do, it's great to see everybody on TV and speaking out in different podcasts and different forms.
Yeah, it definitely. We've had a doctor on one of our other episodes to come on. He was a Black male, and really talking about Black men's health. And we had such a wonderful time to really talk through that, and how at one point Black men were at the highest of being COVID positive, Black men. And so they had a study around that, which was quite interesting because I didn't see it anywhere, but they had found that to be important, and that was because of the level of stress. And so I'm definitely going to pivot to Ashanti because I want to talk specifically around the mental side. But before I get to that, I really want to talk about, and it was something that I shared, was on Peloton, right? And so this whole idea of shelter in place, and understand that we've got this hashtag now that's like hashtag WFA, right? Work from anywhere. But then we also have this whole workout anywhere. So you can work out at home, you can work out outside, everywhere. So what I saw from the numbers around Peloton was that their revenues tripled, right? So that their revenues had tripled. Now, here's what's crazy. I was that person that have been watching them when they did infomercials. So I do want to ask you, is there a fitness craze in this workout anywhere environment? Is it a fitness craze right now?
What do you mean when you say craze? Like a trend, or like
is it over? Yeah, because we have the ability to work out anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's out of necessity. It was out of necessity, right? And now it's kind of more like the public opinion of kind of, the safety and, perception rather. Mm-hmm. So naturally, it's really great to have an option that makes you feel as close to an in-person experience as possible. And Peloton has just hit that out the park, honey. They've done an amazing job. Yeah. It was their time, right?
It was their time.
The owner do a podcast about 2 years ago, and he was talking about where it came from, and the same sort of struggles that we go through as a small business, but then they decided to put the model online, and how, he had to become a tech expert, and that was not his lane, but he figured it out, and just all the things. And it's just like their time, right? Nobody used, like you said, you saw the infomercials are better when we were in person, and it was not holding a candle. Real talk. There's nothing like, it's hard enough to work out. Let's be honest. Human beings, we are built to reserve our energy and that sort of thing. So stepping into a space, I've done so many boot camps at schools and a city hall and all of these different places to know that like a gym environment is valuable, because people can't turn the corner when they're in the same environment that like you work or relax or, do something else. So to kind of mimic that through the screen, and you've got equipment now you're holding on to, like equipment in itself makes you feel like, oh, okay, this is what I use this for. So they've done a great job. I gotta say, I'm on several groups and boards and conversations with other gym and fitness professionals, and it's really difficult to figure out the landscape right now. We're all just sort of like trying to figure it out. Of course, everybody worth their salt has pivoted online, but we're kind of fighting for that same sort of share of the market with the bigger competitors, which is different from the in-person experience that we're used to. Of course, you have the Orange Theories and that sort of thing, but there's all kinds of different clients out there that don't really fit in with the Orange Theory model, right? They really are looking for a more custom, exclusive experience at a smaller or larger gym, that now it's like leveled out the playing field. Yeah. Unless you're one of the brave ones that are kind of still going into
Yeah. And I think, I will say this, and I've traveled and gone to the gym. I can be completely honest with you. I am a small gym person. I cannot do big gyms. I had to work out of a big gym this last Monday because I was traveling and I just wanted a place to work. I had so much anxiety in that big gym. It did not work for me. I don't know what it was, but I was very much like, oh, don't get too close. It was weird. It was really weird for me. But I wonder if that the small gyms is where they play. I mean, we've said the word, you said, even when you said Dr. Christopher was like this microcosm of we're doing all these micros, right? Everything is micro. So I'm wondering, is it the micro gyms that really are winning, right? Versus these kind of macro gyms? Because, and sometimes like, oh, people can spread out, but then I don't see enough people cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I go to both, right? I own a small boutique gym, but then I also go to the big DIY gyms, I call them, to like, sort of get my lift on and that sort of thing. And everybody's got their small little bottle.
Right. You're carrying all your equipment. Like you got your hand sanitizer. You got your whole
thing. That's the whole thing.
Your whole PPE. Your whole PPE.
But that's kind of what it takes. I mean, it's like I don't think that the in-person experience is over with.
I don't think so.
Not at all. But I think that we have had sort of a shift in sort of like it's evolution. I believe heavily in it. Whenever you're forced to do something, we're supposed to evolve in that way, right? Mm-hmm. So now we've all got a taste of what it's like to work out anywhere, and what if we're up for that experience, and for how long, and what that feels like, and everybody's got their watch to know if it really counts in the same way, and they're kind of style. There's always going to be people that are really motivated. There's always going to be people that need to be handheld. Yeah. So in terms of my gym, it's something that I've always wanted to do, was be more online and have an online offering. This forced us to do it, which was fantastic. And even the programming that we've had, we revamped to allow for that, which makes it so much more accessible and easier for people to really get what they want from us, and not have to be, so tethered to like being physically here, which has been a good thing. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's been a different shift in everybody's perception, but all in all, I think it's pretty good.
And I want to just say, which is why I built this, was that the whole idea when we built this last year was that when I studied the crisis in 2008, there was Airbnb was created. Like all these businesses were created. And so, but I didn't see kind of like the Black businesses that were created. Like, what are the Black businesses booming? I didn't see that list. I went through that list and I didn't see it. It was a lot of healthcare systems. And so I said, hey, what about in this crisis of 2020, right? Can we share Black businesses that are pivoting, that are evolving, that have found, this to be good? I mean, obviously, to your point, Peloton was a small, very small company, and look at them. They just blew up, right? But to your point, you have to be ready, right? The season, it was time for them. It was their season to shine, right? And they were ready for it. But they have been doing this for a long time. They were not newbies. They were not new. I had it on my vision board, Ashanti, 2 years ago. A Peloton bike was on my, I literally said to my family, you all need to just put a fund together for my Peloton bike.
Hilarious. You have one, Loretta. You have one.
No, I actually decided not to have one. Let me tell you why. Because, right, what I thought was, in this pandemic, the reason why I didn't get it is because I got bored of being at home. So I wondered if, like, I'm going to get this and be like, okay.
The last thing I want to do, right?
But here's what happens. It was because what we just said, I was forced to only be at home. That was when I had options, right? I'm still going out. I'm still doing this. But you mean to tell me I got to work from home? I got to work out. I got to entertain. I got to have dinner. I got to cook, like everything. And so, yeah, I decided, I said, I just knew I would get bored, because by November, I lost it. I was like, I'm going out. I don't care. I'm going to a gym. I just got to get out. I'm going to lose my mind. So, and I know people were like, you can get on a bike, but for me, it didn't work.
You're an extrovert. See, I'm an introvert. I kind of liked it a lot. Anywhere I could do this. This is great. But I get it. And in the gym, for a lot of people, is like a release, right? Wanting to get away from my environment, and just, I've heard that 1 billion trillion times during this pandemic from a lot of our clients that are just sort of like super successful and giving all of everything away, and they want to come to sort of our gym specifically and like be in a safe space and, you know,
Yeah.
get there, push it out, cry it out, sit in the locker room and talk all day, whatever they came for. And now you don't have that.
Yeah.
You don't have it.
Yes. So it didn't work. But isn't that crazy? I was a Peloton fanatic. Like I was like this. And as soon as pandemic, I literally, when they told me it would be 8 weeks. And in 8 weeks, I was like, I can't do this. Like, I got to get out because when it's going to come, I ain't going to be wanting to sit in here. So I was like, no, scratch that. Sure did. Scratch it. I mean,
have you tried it, Lavetta? Have you tried
it? I've tried it. I went to the store. Like I went to their store in Nordstrom. Like I was the person. I even talked. They reached out to me. They were like, hey, like I was the girl. Like, okay. But when the price go down. So when it did, I was like, okay. But guys, I think it wasn't even 8 weeks. I think it was like 10 weeks or something. And I just was like, I can't travel with this. I can't go with this. Like, I want to get outside. So that was my issue, which I think is funny. So at some point, maybe when we open up, I might go back to it. But right now, at that moment, I didn't want it. I wanted to be outside with a bike. And that's what I did. You know, I got a bike and went outside. So that was better for me when it was time for us to open up. So one of the things I do, I want to switch to you, Dr. Christopher, is, knowing that we've talked about, the lack of color, and I think we know that that's in a lot of fields, right? But certainly in the medical field, did you find that more people became intentional now about finding Black doctors? Did you find that it became something like, I found you, online and, because I really wanted a Black doctor, or I wanted my children to have a Black doctor? Did you find that to come up?
Yeah, so I would speak from personal, experience where we have switched our children. And this was partly because one of our pediatrician we loved him. He was a Caucasian male, but loved him. Our kids loved him. He ended up going down to Texas. So we were sort of in a limbo trying to figure out what we do next. And we decided to make a conscious effort to switch to an African-American female doctor. And we had our first appointment, love her, like no issues. She's great, like very comfortable. And I think part of I'm gonna answer your question, but part of the issue is that the scarcity, right? So I get texts from all of my friends, and I don't know if this was because of what was going on, because we always sort of aware of this, always. Maybe it gave it a little more fire, but I got plenty of texts from friends. Hey, where can I find a Black doctor? Where can I find a Black cardiologist? Where, and it's unfortunate because I can't always give the answer, which is sort of sad. I can sort of give, I know this guy here or this one guy this way, but it's hard. And I think part of that is we have to be better about, and there's search engines, there's other websites out there that help sort of get the Black physicians network all in one area, but it's tough. Because even when you have that, I got a guy who can see you, but it's probably a month or two wait because everybody wants to see him who's African American. Me personally, I don't know that I saw a difference. I think a lot of the time when my African American people came in, they would say, I always get the same thing, oh my God, I'm so proud of you, this and that. I've never met these people before in my life, right? And it's like, oh my God, I'm so happy. Or, I can't believe, I wasn't expecting to see, to meet you here, but I'm very happy I did. But I've sort of been getting that sort of throughout my career. And that's sort of continued. It's a big relief. I can tell a lot of my patients' faces when they see me walk in. Well, first they're a little surprised at how young I look.
Black don't crack, right? They don't understand that. Black people don't crack. Really?
Yeah. And so once they can sort of get past the fact that I'm not, 20 years old, I'm sort of that's a little exaggeration. They don't think I'm 20.
It's okay. We do the same thing, right, Ashanti? We do the same thing. Right. Okay. It's all right.
I scratched my hairline. I think I'll get there. But so I would get the love from my patients in that respect. Every now and again, I'll get somebody to say they purposely look for an African American doctor, but it's more of the shock and the appreciation once it happens, and they, that's sort of what I've continued to see.
Mm-hmm. That's good. And I wonder, if this, I've always had, Black doctors, I've been very intentional, but I find that people started to talk more about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and but you know, for me, it was, you know, very early on, like, nope, I want to talk to, you know, that. And so I think it's important for us. So tell me, for you, what steps do you make to encourage what steps do you make to encourage your patients during this pandemic? Because I would imagine people going to the doctor, there's still some level of fear, right?
Yeah.
With what's going on. So what kinds of steps do you encourage your patients when they come to your door?
You know, to be as safe as possible, but you know, that can mean a number of different things. I'll be quite honest with you. When I ask and again, if we're speaking specifically about our Black and brown community, when I talk to them, they are already safe. You know, I just had I think she was 50 or 69-year-old young lady, and I'm like, oh, did you get your vaccine? She's like, yep, back in February. I was like, oh, what you gonna do now? Are you going anywhere? She's like, nope, I'm gonna still wear my mask and I'm staying inside. You know, and so I get that a lot, where I feel like at least the patients that I've seen, they've been very good about staying safe, being safe. They'll come in, obviously, because I help sort of with their pain and stuff like that. So they'll come in to see me, but I'm literally their outing, right? They come in all dressed up and dolled up, and I'm like, where are you going? And like, oh, just out the house at your appointment. I was like, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I think the one thing I've been trying to do, Larvette, and I'm in sports medicine, to be very clear, right? And I'm in the orthopedic department. So I would not consider myself a frontline worker. I'm not in the ER. I'm not a primary care doctor, but I have been intentional about trying to encourage all my patients, black or not, to get the vaccine. You know, obviously the Black community we've had our issue. I shouldn't say issues. We've had our mistrust, right, in the healthcare community. And it's become more apparent now as we start to find out these new studies and these new research, where now my patients are coming back in, and Tuskegee comes back up, you know, Henrietta Lacks comes up in our conversations. And so, you know, as much as I appreciate that history and I understand it, I think at this point we have made progress, and we are at a different point in our lives where at this point I would encourage everyone, everybody's different, but I would personally encourage everyone to get the vaccine. And I go out of my way to make sure I'm a Black patient, and I obviously don't force anybody, but you try to give them the information and to sort of dispel any myths that are out there. You know, I don't know if you guys remember when this pandemic first hit out in China, it was going around that Black people don't get the virus, right? And so it's dispelling those myths that no, we don't, we definitely get it, and we're now getting it at a higher rate than everybody else. And so being good about that, I think, is very important.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up, Dr. Christopher, because, you know, as a personal friend of mine, when you were like, nope, I did it, it did help. It really did to help, you know, with my own personal anxiety and things that we hear, because we are on this information overload, right?
Yeah,
we got this over here. So I think it is important for key stakeholders and decision makers to come out first, become the influencer,
absolutely,
to help that. And I think we hadn't seen that. I think in the past we would see it was utilized, but now we're seeing, you know, a Dr. Christopher Hicks who's not in government, right, or who's not to be able to say. And I think that sent a powerful message to average, you know, professionals, right?
Absolutely.
Wake up and they want to live a healthy whole life, to see their peers say, you know what? No, it's good. I see research every day and it's important. But I think sometimes we are, you know, oftentimes still in the past, in our own thinking, which is why I'm going to move to Ashanti, because I think it really wants to talk about the mental state, and how that plays a role in how we see ourselves, right? And so one of the things that I know you've been doing this for a long time, but I was wondering if you did anything different to incorporate mental fitness or mental health within 360. It's always been your platform, 100%. But like, did you see an increase on that side as a result of the pandemic?
Oh my God. Yes. Thankfully. Like I was like, yes. I was like, that's amazing. Because I love this stuff. I really like talking about it. And I like really unlocking what is blocking people from really getting where they're going in this whole behavioral change. And my average client has about 30 pounds to lose. So we're not over here trying to tighten and tone necessarily. It's like really trying to lose some weight and hit it from both sides. And that's a shift, you know, to really change all of your habits. We make 200 food decisions a day. And so, and 50% of them don't go very well if you're not set up to like have like preparation in that way, especially trying to change them, right? So it's a shift on every level. These things that we do so often, either get up and do something or don't, right? Eat or not, go to sleep or not, right? That will lead to the next thing that we do. So the mental side definitely became front and center. I'm very, very big on meditation. I'm very big on really talking out kind of, you know, what's happening in everybody's individual situation. So I started a program literally called Mental Shift, and it was very successful. I had about 4 workshops. I think I ran from even September just through the beginning of this year that people where it's something that I had been trying to do for years that like nobody just bought into, but like this really pulled out like, oh, okay, this is what you've been talking about. Like the pandemic has challenged all of our healthy lifestyles, right? I eat healthy, I do healthy, like what you buy when you raided the grocery store. Like, you know, people were getting stuff that, you know, it just went out the window. So
and what do you find, you know, for those, I mean, and I'm going to ask this question just because I know it's popular, is the intermittent fasting. So what are your thoughts around that? Are you a proponent of that?
I believe in simplicity. Intermittent fasting, there's a lot of studies and a lot of information out there that talks about promoting, you know, your mortality even. It talks about the autophagy like happens in the process of fasting where all your proteins and things sometimes don't like fold right. And it's a way of your body sort of recycling all of those things and clearing the cells even during the process of fasting that you don't get a chance to do when you're eating these small mini meals throughout the day. I myself have always preached eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. And when you actually do that, you naturally have sort of like this fasting period because you're just not hungry. Your body's literally using all the calories that it has stored, which is a great way to lose weight. But it was a hard sell for years because people were told eat the mini meals, and that also works very well for number of reasons, but it's just you kind of have to find your way. But I'm not big on jumping on a new diet way.
I knew you were gonna say that. Yeah. I knew you were gonna say that, Ashanti. I just knew it.
Just because I grew up overweight in Los Angeles, California, and I tried everything: the zone diet, the low fat, all of it, the metabolite, the pills, the potions. Like, I just don't believe in any of that because 9 times out of 10, just like you, Dr. Christopher, I'm sure your biggest problem with clientele is like compliance.
1,000%.
Oh my God. So like, it doesn't matter what we say. At the end of the day, it has to work for you in the way that you like to do things, in the time that you like to do them. It has to taste good. It has to be convenient for you. It can't be this whole song and dance just trying to fit the mold of like keto, but you really over here crashing cookies in the meantime. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not getting into the ketosis, you know? So I'm all about finding that specific formula per person and really helping you to ask yourself the right questions to figure out what is the issue and why don't I want to do this? And I say I want to do it and I keep starting over. Like, we got to get in there and figure it out. It's not a cookie cutter thing. So that mental aspect definitely rose to the top when we were all at home, for sure.
And I think one of the things that I'm hearing, and you just somewhat said it too, is that everybody is different, right? Every person comes with a different set. Like, you know, we see this with the vaccine. Some people have no problem. Some people do, right? So it's the very same thing, what you're saying about, right, intermittent. So it may work for you, Larvetta. It may not work for, you know, someone else. And so So no jump on a bandwagon because somebody else is doing that makes sense. So that I think is one of the things that we should have learned in this pandemic, right? Is that just because everybody else doesn't mean it's going to be the same thing from that standpoint. So I'm glad that you bring that up because the idea of intermittent fasting, several years ago, a trainer told me, was like, you only eat when he was like, Americans are fat because y'all eat based on breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yep.
Eat when you're hungry and stop. And, and I mean, when he came to, I was like, oh, he was like, are you hungry right now? I was like, no. He said, so why are you eating? I was like, because you're supposed to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He's like, okay, you don't need it.
I compare it to like going to the bathroom. Like, you don't just go and like you get a sensation, right? Like your body's always giving you communication. You wouldn't go outside at 80-degree weather with a puff coat on because it feels good, right? Mm-hmm. But we eat because it feels good and because like I'm bored, and it's only bodily sensation that we don't obey.
Yeah.
If we just take it back there, we'll be closer to lifestyle than trying to follow and switch out this for that. Like we got to kill it at the root.
And I want to pose is a few questions that I wanted to ask that we have. Ashanti, what do you find is the hardest mental health challenge for women?
Black women?
Yeah. And because I know that's your focus. So yes.
Well, I would say their hair.
So that's a mental thing too, Ashanti? I guess so. You're right.
I mean, the natural revolution helped out with that a little bit, but it's still a concern. Hair, I would say a lot of the time, friends and family.
Wow.
They'll be killing it. Like I see a lot of the times Black women specifically need to isolate themselves from their entire life in order to do the right thing. Why? Because the girlfriend group wants to go out for happy hour, right? The boyfriend or the husband's bringing home Harold's or whatever it is. Now they're being tempted constantly, right? The kids have the snacks and they're not eating that rabbit food or whatever it is. Nobody's following them with this journey. So that's why we have always been very community focused and like building a community within the gym, because you need that. Peer pressure is real. You can be killing it all year, get your whole family on target, but then you go to the cookout and grandma and auntie and them are looking at you like, and they're bringing their own food with them and they're just shaming them to death. You know
that's
what I'm saying?
True. Yeah.
Or, saying, you're losing too much weight. You can stop now. And, this person has lost 20 pounds, but has a 50-pound goal. And that starts to get into your mind. And really, a lot of people lose weight because they think that life is going to change and they're going to get more respect or be acknowledged in a positive way. And when that doesn't happen, that can be discouraging. So I would say other people, hair, relationship.
That's good.
I think, and again, speaking specifically about minority women, I would say there's sort of this like oppression really dives deep into our spirit. I gotta tell you this quick story. So I used to work in makeup. I used to work, I took a job, it's a long story, I've lived in many lives, but when I was younger, I had a job working for Estee Lauder at the Estee Lauder counter, and I would go there after work, and everybody, ladies at the working in makeup, they're making commission off of you. So just FYI, anything that you buy. So we constantly trying to pull people to sit down in those seats so we can do a makeover and they'll buy everything or at least one or two things, right? That's what happens there. So I would be in the aisles trying to pull customers and these white women would be like, yes, thank you so much for choosing me. Like, just do something with me. I just feel like I'm such a mess and just like do something. And they let me do whatever I want. I kept going through the ranks and ended up getting picked up by Fashion Fair Cosmetics as an account executive. And so I ended up managing the Midwest region for all those counters. And I would have to go in and pretty much make sure everything was right. But then, of course, I would work with the beauty advisors to make sure they were making their sales and doing this very thing. Mm-hmm. And it is a very different experience with Black women when you try to pull them in the chair and try to really, negotiate possibly doing something different with their routine or their skin, or even trying to suggest anything else. It's like literally like you're pulling off armor. Where are you going with that? Did you watch that? Like there's all of this. I'm serious. It's a real thing because we've done so wrong and we've been bamboozled and people don't think we're smart, right? So we're questioning everything. And it's just a night and day thing. And I see it also in fitness, right? The black that gets attached to someone's weight. It's a very personal conversation. And when you talk about possibility, now you got to, people naturally look to the past for what they've tried to do and if they were successful and if they have the energy to do it again. I talked about this in my TED Talk, just how somebody does the math and they realize, oh, shoot, I got to lose 40 pounds. And then all of a sudden they back off of it. Well, I don't really want to be that small anymore. I just want to lose some weight. I want to feel better, and that to me is just from all of our oppression, and just sort of beaten down and to feel.
Yeah. And that's powerful because I feel like that's where we are today. Like, we don't want this. No, don't do that. I still think we're still. So I think that's interesting, Ashanti.
It's just different.
The correlation between the two. Very fascinating, though, that you saw that to work. So, wow.
I don't know how we got on that.
Let me say this. I think the fashion, I think the beauty and the fitness go hand in hand. I think that's what we're saying, So I want to ask this question to you, Dr. Christopher, is I know you played basketball during your time in college and then went into the medical field for sports. What experiences have you had as a Black athlete and Black medic that are monumental for you?
Oh, positive or negative? That's a loaded question. I don't know, right? Like, I think I've identified as an athlete most all my life. And if you ask my wife, I still do. I think that's become natural for us, right? Or at least for Black men, because that's the road most traveled, at least that's what we see.
Yeah.
And so being all right, we can get real, or I can.
You can get real here. Now we real at the round table.
So I'll tell you one of my experiences. So I was a walk-on, so that means that I didn't play. I wasn't recruited. I played at the University of Illinois, and I wasn't recruited there or anything like that. I really went there to be a regular student. And I was that for a year. And then after my freshman year, I started playing basketball for the last 3 years. So just give some background. So one thing I definitely noticed, and this is just my experience, was walking on campus late at night. Everybody walks on campus late at night. You got to go study. You got to go to the library. As a freshman, non-basketball player, I used to, again, I'm a 6'3", so walking down the street with a hoodie and a book bag, I would see other people cross the street. I didn't really take much to it, whatever. Then I noticed, shockingly, after I made the team, first of all, everybody knew who I was. And then, people weren't crossing the street away from me. They, sort of come towards me, which was an interesting thing for me because I didn't change, right? I looked the same. I dressed the same. I still wore sweats. But it was interesting to see that sort of very quickly switch in the way I was sort of perceived on campus. And honestly, I would tell you the different. I'm sort of I've gotten better like that, but I used to be a very spiteful person. So
really,
yeah, and so yeah, I've gotten better, Shanti. So just it's sort of a funny story. So when I was in residency, and even throughout medical school, you as a physician, they always want you to be very clean cut. No beard, very well kept, and I get that. But to some degree, they wanted you to look a certain way, and so being spiteful, I did the opposite. And so it was actually for one of my best friends' weddings. This is when parts were like really, came back and they were really cool. So I was told, I was in the wedding, I was told to be myself, to express yourself. And so I did. So I don't know if you guys seen the heart EKG, where it sort of goes like the little blip.
Yeah.
I got that as a part in my head, sort of to symbolize, I'm a doctor, but I also have style or whatever.
Yeah.
But I had to wear it to work. I mean, I had to get it cut, but the wedding was on like a Saturday. I'd still go to work on like Thursday and Friday, but I said, forget it, I'm gonna do it. It was interesting to see the different reactions I got from the different people, whether they were my attendings, whether they were my patients. You know, I walked into one room and, you know, the look I got was very interesting. One of these, you know, who are you and what are you about to do? And I'm their doctor, and I don't think they realize it when I walk in. But I sort of see it as a challenge to change people's perceptions after that, right? So that to me, you know, some people take it as discouraging. I get that, but that to me tells me that I need to make sure that my shit's correct, right? And so the sort of wow that when I walk in the room, here you see this young kid with this part in his head. It was obnoxious, guys. I mean, it was like pretty big, and so. But it was interesting to you know, those are just some of the smallest stories I have sort of throughout the time that I've been here. It's funny. I was talking to a patient earlier. I'll be quick. Talking to a patient earlier, and she has this. She's 40, you know, 47-year-old Black female, and she was asking me if I was the first or if I was the only in my department. I was like, oh yeah, of course, oh yeah. Right. And what I've realized is that unless you're intentional, which Larvette, obviously you have been and others have been, I think a lot of that comes from going to HBCUs. But I've been the only or the first several times in my career, you know, and I don't think that's shocking to anybody on this call or shocking to anybody who is successful in their career. You probably are the first or the second of all time. And it's sort of, I was telling the young lady that it was, you know, it's sad, like we're in 2020 and I'm still the first or the only. Yeah. And so, you know, and that's not a knock to my department. We're heading in the right direction. They've been very supportive, and we've been intentional about the things that we're trying to do to improve upon that. But those are just, you know, that for me is an experience, but it's something that I've experienced sort of throughout my career and life.
Yeah. And I think, you know, honestly, guys, I think one of the things that we have to understand is, you know, when I hear the first, I get excited because if you can, we need the first to make the second, right? So you got to have it. I mean, when we think about for those that were ahead of us, like they created things for us and they were the first. So we have to do our part. And I think that's important. And I'm glad that you were able to do that for yourself, because I'm sure, you know, Black men are always kind of coined as, oh, are you an athlete? No, I'm a doctor. You know, so I think that it was like you were able to insert yourself to say, no, just I'm not just that, right? And so we're not just one thing. And I think that was powerful. What I do want to ask you guys, and we didn't start off, is I do want to ask, because I normally ask all of my guests, is what's been your key takeaway in the pandemic for yourself? What's been your key takeaway?
Balance for me. I don't think that that's a surprise for anybody, but I think I realized how hard I was working before. And I don't desire to work that hard anymore. But that I can still get things done and place things that are. It was almost like the resurrection of things that are even more important.
And how old is your daughter, Ashanti? How old is your daughter now?
She's 8.
Wow.
Yeah. And so
that's a lot to say you got balance at an 8-year-old. I'm gonna give you like a high five, because that's incredible. Like that's incredible. That's a TED Talk, Ashanti.
Oh my gosh. No, it's been great. It's been great to really spend more time with her. I love like making breakfast for her in the morning versus like having to rush off and wake up and go and we gotta go. And
yeah, that's good. That's good. We've heard so much. I'm always intrigued by this. What about you, Dr. Christopher? Sound. We don't hear you.
I'm having trouble with my mic. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Oh, I cannot hear you.
You can't hear us. You can't hear us at all? Okay. That's okay.
No, I can read lips.
Oh.
Should I try? I'm gonna quickly try and log off and log back on.
So try to log back in because I want to hear your key takeaway.
Okay.
So try to go in and go out. That has only happened once, so I think that's funny that we've had that happen. But a lot of it is he probably switches headsets and sometimes it connects. And so Ashanti, when you think about it from the standpoint as we wait for Dr. Christopher to come back, was that something that you were aiming towards, or did it come natural? Like, was that something that, like, before pandemic, if I could get this, you know, I would be better? Or did it just naturally, you know, God literally just swooped you up and was like, sit down and you're gonna have balance? Or was it something you were like always wanting or struggling to gain balance?
I thought I had balance, but not like this. I didn't think that I feel like I kind of have my cake and eat it too now. Early on, I was really, I had a moment. I even had to talk to my team and I was like, listen, I need you guys right now. I need to take a moment. And I really want you guys to just kind of, you know, carry on without me even for a little while. And I did that and everything was okay. You know, it gets tough. And then even with like working out and taking care of me, realizing how different things can be and still I feel good. For example, I don't have to do an hour workout. I could do a 20-minute workout and it'd be great. I'd be pouring down sweat and I still feel as successful as I did before. And just knowing how to change those things without me feeling so overwhelmed all the time.
That's good. That's good. Dr. Christopher, can you hear us?
I'm back. Yay! Sorry about that.
That was called a commercial break for everybody that's listening. That was a commercial break. So we took a commercial break, and so now he's back.
I'm back.
So what was is there one key takeaway that you've learned during the pandemic?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a bad takeaway. So I realized I did not get sick this winter, like at all. And I usually get sick once or twice being in the hospital and being around a lot of people. But clearly washing your hands, wearing masks, it means something, right? I didn't even get close to being sick this year. And if you look at the data for the flu didn't really exist this year either, or at least the percentages of the rate of people getting infected are a lot lower than normal. And so my takeaway is that I probably, could keep a lot of these hygiene, we wash the kids' hands when we first get in, right? Like my wife is probably like rolling over right now, but at least it's the end. But yeah, just me personally, I was like, wow, like I didn't get sick, and it's like, well, I think so. My point is, I think I will obviously, I think as a whole, as a society, we'll probably continue to adopt some of these different things. I mean, the Asian American community, I think they led the way. I mean, when they get sick, they just wear a mask, and you would sort of, without knowing and with sort of not appreciating it, you would sort of wonder why. And honestly, I probably, because I don't like, is a cough or a cold going to keep me from coming in and see my patients? No, but I'm definitely going to wear a mask from here on out. It does happen, even once we get completely past the pandemic. So honestly, that's just my biggest, there's a lot of takeaways from the past year, but that's probably my biggest one personally.
That's powerful though. Yeah. That's powerful as a doctor to say that, right? Yeah.
What do you know, right?
So I'm
not a dirty guy, like I promise, like
I think it's funny. So, guys, as we wrap up, Ashanti, if you want to share with the audience what you have coming up, I think you have a challenge coming up. So if you want to share that really quickly as we close.
So we have our Bikini and Trunk Challenge. It is starting April 11th. It's online and it's in person. And basically we take you through 4 months of really challenging you to get beach ready. So it's a good time. We try to have a lot of fun with it. It's not this grueling, just starve yourself sort of thing, especially in this space in time of like not everything accessible and everything feeling safe. Everything is very doable. Like I said, we try to have fun with it.
That's awesome. And are you doing the trip or no trip? Because I know
not this year. There's a bunch of people saying that they're going to do like smaller trips and that sort of thing, but we didn't plan like a big one like we normally do every year. The website down there is incorrect. It's 360.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we fixed that.
Okay. But in case you're interested, 360mbs.com. MBS like mind, body, soul.
Got it. I don't know. We fixed that, and for whatever reason, it didn't save us. So thank you for that. Chris, any final words? I know him as Chris, guys, so I was being politically correct and calling him Dr. Christopher. But anything you have going on that's coming up that you want to share? I know for a doctor, it's nothing really, but if you want to share as we close, any final remarks?
Yeah, no. Obviously, I love to see anybody who's hurting, but but I will say this: shameless plug.
Yes.
The Chicago Sky I don't know if you guys kept up. Have recently signed the Hall of Fame, Candace Parker, who is from Illinois, so she's coming back home. The Chicago Sky have been on the brink of breaking through and doing well in the playoffs and just sort of missing the buck on getting into the championship. But I'm excited. It should be a really fun season. I think the coach, their head coach is an amazing guy, and he's got them playing really well. So I am not sure what the protocols and guidelines are as far as coming in person, but if there's a chance, I highly encourage everyone to come out and check out a game. Very fun.
It is a lot of fun. I've been to the Chicago Sky game, and I'm going to tell you all, I used to work for the Chicago Bulls, and so have been in that sports arena, but going to a Chicago Sky game is so much fun. It is like, so as we close for Women's History Month, I will share with everyone, support the Chicago Sky of all female athletes. They are absolutely incredible. It's the camaraderie. I mean, people are just cheering them on. It is so amazing. So I will add that. I want to thank you guys for being my guests this afternoon on Crisis Currency Roundtable. This was fun. I didn't know I could have this much fun to talk about fitness and sports medicine, but I had a good time. So thank you guys, and keep doing what you all do to change the world, because you all are doing that with what you do by serving the community. So thank you all, and I will see you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye. 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 And I'm going to say, for everyone that is tuning in with us, thank you all for tuning in with us for another Crisis Currency Roundtable. Please subscribe to the channel to hear other episodes, or you can check out more of our more of our episodes on our website. Again, thank you guys for spending time with us on this timely topic of sports and fitness. So if you didn't learn anything this afternoon, shame on you, but this has been an incredible day. Thank you all. I'm tuning off. Till we see each other again, stay safe. Bye-bye.